Hi, I'm Stuart Kaplan, and here we are on December 12th, 2009, and we're at the home of my father, Milton Kaplan, and we're doing a video on his life to save and document his life so we can have for the future and for generations to come to know my father. Dad, we're going to start out with this interview with your parents. Your parents' name were Jake and Celia Kaplan, and her Hebrew name was Zipporah.
Right.
And I would like you to tell a little bit about how they came to this country and what happened. From my understanding, they came separately, and I'll let you.
My father
tell what
came
happened.
over in 1912, and he came over here. He was a tailor. He came in Ellis Island, and he worked as a tailor, and he went from New York to Cuba. He had some relatives in Cuba, and he stayed there I don't know how long, and he came back.
And they helped them get over to this country?
Yeah, they helped him, and he went from there to Mississippi. I forget the name of the town that he went to, and then from there he came to Memphis, Tennessee. And he worked as a tailor and worked and saved up his money, saved up enough money to bring my mother over in 1920. He came over in 1912 and she came over in 1920. And then they were here together and made their home in Memphis. From there, he had a little used clothing business that he worked on, and he did the tailoring and the mending of the clothes and everything, and my mother helped him in the store, and they made a living that way.
They went and bought used clothes.
Went and bought
and
used
you went
clothes.
to Chicago sometime, correct?
My mother took my sister and I to Chicago on a train in those days, and bought used clothes. We stayed with a man by the name of Hirsch, as Hirsch and Sons, and that's where she bought the clothing and the used clothing. And she worked. We stayed about a week and stayed at his house, and then we came back home to Memphis.
And y'all lived on Beale Street, right?
We lived on Beale Street, at the
and
time.
And you lived with family, the Blooms, right?
No, that was later on Tate Street. We lived on Beale Street, where first was when I think it was I don't know if we lived on Tate Street first or not, but anyway, we lived at 172 Beale. It was over a store, not my parents' store at that time. They had a store around the corner on 2nd. And then we had to move, and we moved across the street at 173 Beale upstairs also. Then we moved from there to 2nd Street, 208 South 2nd, and that was just off of Beale, and we lived there up over the store. And we lived there for quite a long time. And there was a grocery store on the corner of 2nd and Beale called Fred Schwantz. Is that what I told you? Mm-hmm. And we that in those days, clerk waited on you. If you came in, you want a sack of flour, a pound of flour or whatever, he scooped it out of a bin and gave it to you and put it in a sack and then waited, or a sack of sugar or whatever. And if you bought some cheese, nickel worth of cheese, they gave you a handful of crackers. Mm-hmm. In the back of the store, they had a bar, and they sold, I think it was beer and root beer and that type of thing. And so we used to take a pitcher around there, and they'd fill it up for a nickel. And those were the days that we lived. And we lived on South 2nd, 208 South 2nd, up over the store. Across from there was the bus station, Gregory Bus Line, who later became the Greyhound bus station, and who is now the Greyhound, and Fred Smith's father owned that. So, and that was there for a long time. And down going north a little ways was a store called Kisber, the Kisber Auto Parts. The Kisber family, they had two boys, Joe and Al, who had trucks that they, I could see them when we were living across the street upstairs. They loaded those trucks up on Sunday mornings, and they loaded them up, and then they went out on the road with them. They left Monday and stayed all week selling these parts to
in the surrounding area?
Yeah, in the surrounding area, Arkansas and
You
Mississippi.
said at the grocery store, there wasn't a full grocery store. You said you got perishable items. What did you do? Was that when the block of ice came? And
No, not that. No.
how did you refrigerate things back
Well,
then?
we had an ice box. Yeah, we had an ice box called an ice box in those days, not a refrigerator. So we got a block of ice from the ice man. They had a sign. They sold it in 12.5 pounds, 25 pounds, 50 pounds, and 100 pounds. So we would get 12.5 pounds, and you put it up in the top of the ice box, which is a wooden ice box, and the cold air filtered down and kept the food cold. So that was it.
So when did you move in with the Blooms?
We lived on Tate Street and with the Bloom family. Now, I can't remember if that was before or after, but we lived on Tate Street, and that's where I was born. So it must have been before. I was born on Tate Street, and
but a lot of families did that in those days, right?
Yeah,
they moved in with other families and then branched out.
That's right. And a lot of Jewish people that lived in that area on Tate Street. See, and the school I went to was Leith School. It was at 4th and Linden.
And Pauline went there too?
Yeah, in a grammar school, yeah. She went there too. And then we went from there to, I went to junior high, Bellevue Junior High. I was there from 6th grade to the 12th, to the 9th grade. Mm-hmm. Then we went to Bellevue Junior High and stayed from the 9th to the 12th. I graduated from there in 1940. So that was that.
You went
the stores.
Where'd you say you graduated?
From
junior high?
From Tech High.
Tech High. You went to Tech High after.
Yeah, that's right. I graduated in 1940.
And Pauline went to Central.
And she went to Central. My sister went to Central.
And and during your junior high days, or before that, the Depression hit, right?
Depression was in 1929. October of 29. I was born in 22. So I was a little boy, but I remember the Depression, and I remember Depression years, and
They were selling apples on the corner?
Selling apples on street corners, and people were jumping out of windows and everything.
Because the stock market crashed.
The crash hit in 29. I don't think it wasn't as bad then as it is. Well, this is not as bad. This recession is not as bad as that Depression was. And so
it set back a lot of people.
Oh yeah, it set back a lot of people, and
that's when the Kennedys made their money. They sold out before.
Well, that was before then, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, that's where we were, and so then I'm trying to think. Yeah, you asked me about. I was born on Tate Street, and then I went to lit school, and I went to Tech High. Went to Bellevue Junior High, and then to Tech High. Now, what else?
And then after that, when did you go to the war?
Oh, and
wait, you worked for a pawn shop of Louis Lerner?
I lived on Beale Street, up over the store, up over a store, not our store, but a store at 172 Beale. Then we had to move across the street. So I think I repeated myself.
Wait 1 second. I want to back up from my notes. 1935, you said you were bar mitzvahed at the Baron Hirsch.
Yeah.
And you had it in the little shul that was in the basement.
In the basement of the Baron Hirsch Synagogue, yeah.
And you said they just had the herring, kugel,
we had a gallon of herring, some kichel, and a
couple of bottles of wine.
Yes. And that was my bar mitzvah, let's say. Mm-hmm. It wasn't quite as elaborate as they have them today, but
we did okay.
I got bar mitzvah.
So I just wanted to back up a little bit to get that in there.
Yeah.
But then now we're after high school, and then you went to war, right? Right after high school?
Yeah, I was inducted in the Army in 1942. And then I stayed there. I went overseas. I went overseas. I went to Apweiler, into France first, and then we went into Germany. And so one night we was on patrol, and my captain gave us a critique on what we were supposed to do. He said, showed us on the map we were supposed to tie in with our second battalion at a certain point. So we got out there, and it was dark, and we saw some people moving up on the top of the hill, and we hollered up their second battalion. And when we did that, they just opened up on us with machine guns and cut us down. Mm-hmm. And we hit the ground and laid there, and all of a sudden my legs started burning, and I felt down there, and it was wet. Mm-hmm. So I knew I'd been hit. So I didn't know that, but
so anyway, you just had like a burning sensation.
Yeah. We continued to lay there, and until and one guy got up, and he panicked and ran back towards the back, and they cut him down with a machine gun, just cut him down. So we laid there and continued to lay there for a long time.
So y'all played dead?
And played dead until about several hours, I don't know. And then we got up and crawled back to our lines. And then we went into to our company headquarters, and the guy was breaking up the machines and tearing up the radio and destroying all the records and everything. Mm-hmm. And they were expecting the Germans to come back. And so that's what they did, and so they wouldn't have any records or anything about our company, our battalion. And so then I was. They caught some Germans, and they carried them and put us on stretchers and carried us across this river. It was a small river called the Roar River. It was about half the size of that street out there. And so these German prisoners were carrying us across this river, and I told one of them, I says, "Don't you let one of these guys shoot me. Drop me in this water." He said, "Don't worry. If I do, I'll blow their brains out." You know what I mean? They had guns on them. So then we got across the river, and I went back to my outfit, and the medics patched me up, and I went.
And then of the people from your hometown came looking for you, right?
This was later, and I went to the hospital in Paris, France, and stayed there for 30 days. But like you say, some of my friends that I knew came to see me in Germany, and I met Herbie Morris in London, England, and he was in the headquarters company, and he had a good job with the army, and he did well, and we went to eat one time, lunch, and then and then the next one I saw was Sam Richmond came to see me. He was looking for my outfit, and I had a nickname in those days called Shikey. So he asked. He knew where my company was, and he asked different places. He asked different guys. He says, "Do you know Milton Kaplan? Where is he at?" He says, "I don't know him." He went to another guy. He says, "You know Milton Kaplan?" He said, "No, I don't know him." And so he asked again. So then he asked the next guy. He says, "You know Shikey Kaplan?" He says, "Oh, yeah, he's over in that barracks over there, see?" So he came to see me. When you saw somebody from home, it was like seeing God, just
and
Moses.
Then Leo Schneider.
And later on, Leo Schneider came to see me in a Jeep, and I thought that he had access to a Jeep, but I understand later that he stole that Jeep and came to see me, see?
And he got demoted for it, right?
Yeah, he lost a couple of his stripes. Sergeant stripes. So anyway, that's...
And where did the name Shikey come from?
Oh, that Sam Richmond gave me that name. It's a long story, and we don't have the time. He just gave it, and it stuck. See, it stuck.
One of those things that just stuck.
Yeah, that's right.
So there was a lady named Bertha Lerner, Sandy Goldstein's mother.
Later, when I came back, I went to work back on Beale Street. I went to work.
Yeah, but at the Army, she used to send you packages.
Yeah. When I was in the service, my parents had a little clothing store around the corner on 2nd Street, and Ms. Lerner was married to Louis Lerner, who I worked for at the time, and she would go around and go into town. She'd drop off a $10 bill. He'd send a package to Milton, see. And so she did that several times. She was very nice about that. And one time she sent me from Lowenstein's, a yard-long box of candy. Lowenstein made candy in those days. Mm-hmm. It was a yard long, which is 36 inches long and about 5 or 6 inches wide. So I didn't know what to do with it, and I got it, so I put it under my mattress, my bed, my bunk in the Army. Mm-hmm. So that was that. Then,
so after you were injured, they said the Army was over.
No, yeah, I was in the hospital in Paris, France for 30 days, And then after that, I got out. That was in April, I think, of 45, and the war ended a few days after I got back to my outfit. So it was over. So everything was over, and then we got ready to come back to Memphis. Well, stay with my outfit for a little while.
And while you were over there, Aunt Pauline got married, but they wouldn't let you go to the wedding.
Wouldn't let me come back home. She got married here in Memphis, Tennessee, at the Gyosa Hotel, and she married
Albert Sokol
from Birmingham, Alabama. That was in 44.
And they had a son, Murray.
Yeah.
Jerry, Sherry, and Ellen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that's, but I couldn't get permission to come back home for the wedding. The wedding, like I said before, was in the Gyosa Hotel.
So you came back after the war. Did you have any problems mentally with dealing with the war, or you were okay?
No, I was all right. Yeah.
And then what? You went back working in the pawn shop?
Yeah, working with Mr. Well, two men wanted me to go to work for them. One was William Epstein, and the other was Joe Saffistone. So I went to work for Mr. Saffistone, and worked for him for quite some time. I think it was about 20 some odd years, and then I bought him out.
Then you bought him out.
So I did that in 1959.
And you told me when you bought him out, all the money that you made went back in to keep the store going.
As I accumulated the money, every time I accumulated $1,000, I took it up to the bank and paid them off. I had 5 co-signers, and they signed for me at $3,000 apiece, and my brother-in-law in Birmingham signed for me in his bank for $10,000, so it made up the money, the $25,000. See, and so it was. And like I say, the minute I accumulated enough money, $1,000, I took it up to the bank and paid them off, and just he kept paying them off until I got the loan. Till I got the loan.
And Sam Richmond and his brother Dave Richmond introduced you to Mom.
Yeah, that's right. This was at a
who is Joan Harris Kaplan.
Yeah, no, Joan Harris.
Joan Harris.
Yeah.
And her parents were Esther Wolfe Harris and Mose Harris.
That's correct.
Mars Harris.
Yeah.
He was from England, and Grandma Harris was a native Memphian.
That's right. So they had a popularity contest with about 10 girls or 14 girls in it, and Joni was one of the contestants, see, so she was the prettiest, but she didn't win because it didn't go by looks, but by as many tickets as she sold. They sold a ticket for $1, a vote for $1 a piece. So there's more. I was her sponsor. And she had a lot of the other girls had sponsors, and they sold more tickets than Joni did, so they won the contest. I think Rosalie Abraham, she was Rosalie, she was a Snyder. And her brother was her sponsor, and they sold more tickets than we did. So, but Joni was the prettiest. She always was. In my eyes and everybody's eyes. And so then I started dating her, and we were going out together, and I was older than she. I was 10 years older than her.
And she had a brother, Alvin, the youngest, and Arlene.
sister.
Harris, yeah, and her.
And Mose Harris was her father, who worked at M.E. Carter, and he was there for a long time.
And he
was
retired there.
Yeah, he was the vice president. So anyway, let's see, where was it?
Dating mom.
I was dating her, and we would go out together, and I'd take her to a movie or take her to different places, and so she was very popular because she was a very, very pretty girl. And so she said at one time that she wanted to go steady. I said, no, Joni, I says, you keep dating the boys that you're dating and make sure that they're all there, that I'm the one that you want, and make sure of that, and you keep on doing it. So that's what she did. She kept dating him, and then finally she says, no, she says, you're the one. And so we came back and we decided to get married. I said, now, you sure you want to get married? So he says, yes, I'm sure. And so she...
Tell one of the stories about the Nash Rambler that
you caught a fire?
Aunt Pauline's
let's see.
father sold you.
So anyway, we got married at the Claridge Hotel in the Balinese room, and Rabbi Fruchter had married us. So going back, when I was dating Joni, I had an old Nash, 41 Nash, and that car was, it had everything that could have happened to a car. It happened to it. One day when I dropped her off one night, and I pulled around the corner, and the car caught a fire. Flames started coming up, and it caught a fire. And so I was embarrassed. The fire engines were running and flying and this and that and everything. And I was embarrassed because I had just dropped her off. So her parents came running out of there, and all the neighbors and everybody came running out. And so they finally got it put out, and all the wires were burned up in the car, and I had to get the car fixed and repaired. And one time I was riding in that car, and the steering wheel came off of it. And when you drove it, you had to put it into first. And when you shift gears, you put it in first, then second. You had to hold it into second, because if you didn't, it would jump out, see? So that was what happened there, and it caught a fire also right there at Overton Park in Cleveland, right in front of Fortner's Furniture, I believe it was. So anyway, that's anything that could happen to a car happened to that car, see? And the one thing about the Nash car, it had their slogan was that they had the only car that had a bed in it. And the way they advertised it, they had the bed, the front seat where the passenger was, the back folded down, and it laid straight across, see? And that was a bed. You made into a bed. You could sleep in that car, see? If it's on the road, right. One driving and the other one sleeping. And so that's where that was. So then I was back.
So you got married at the
Claridge Hotel,
1951, was it?
In 51 at the Balinese room, April the 8th.
And you had a nice-sized wedding.
Yeah, a nice-sized wedding, and it was a nice wedding. So that's when we got married. And Joni went to work.
But you moved in with your parents on Tutwiler Street.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
That was your parents' home, and then you took it over.
Yeah, that's right. So we went, Joni went to work for an advertising agency in the 81 Madison building called Bassi and Bick. And I was working on Beale Street for Louis Lerner. And so anyway, That was, and I was working there, and her father was working at Emmy Carter. So Breeze was at the corner of Main and Front, Jefferson in front, and so he would come by when he got off. When she got off of work, she came and stayed in the back where Breeze was in the furniture department and waited for him to come by and pick her up. So he would come by and pick her up and take us home and take her home, and I met her at home after I got off work.
Who picked her up? The doorbell rang. I didn't get to hear who picked her up? Who did you say?
Her father.
Her father. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the story? You picked her up one time and she was in front of a TV store, and she had to have that TV.
That's where it was, in Breeze. She stayed in the back of Breeze at Front and Jefferson waiting for her father, and that was in the furniture department. So that's when TVs first came out. And they had these little screens, 12.5-inch screen. It was on the TV was on a stand, and it swiveled. You could, any part of the room, you could see the TV. And that TV was, I think, $299. And she saw that TV every day. She waited for her father. And she just had to have that TV. She wanted that TV, and she wanted it. And I said, Joni, we can't afford it. I said, we can't afford to buy that TV. She says, I got to have it. That's the only TV like it in the world. That's the only TV made. That's the best TV going and everything. And we got to have it. So naturally, we bought it. And bought it on a payout. And it was $11 a month, and I paid it out, and that's when Milton was popular, and every Sunday afternoon or evening at 6:00, you had to be in front of that TV to see Milton He was the most popular comedian there, and that's the way it was in those days. So she had to have that TV, and we got that TV.
And she eventually went to work for you in the store.
Yeah, after she got married.
After y'all got married?
No, she worked for me a little while in the store. Then when the children started coming, yeah.
And her sister got married to a man, Mike Solomon.
Mike Solomon, yeah.
And Uncle Alvin got married to Elaine Oken.
Right, that's right. So, and that's the way it was. So anyway...
And Arlene had a daughter, Julie.
Yeah.
And Arlene and Uncle Mike, and Elaine and Uncle Alvin had Marcy, Ken, and Jonathan.
That's correct.
And the house on Tutwiler Street used to belong to Isaac Lasker.
That's correct. You have a good memory.
He was the guy by Baron Hirsch, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
And he put in a sukkah in the garage.
That's right.
It just opened up. And we had some
it was
parties.
It was on pulleys.
Yeshiva.
It was on pulleys in the top of the garage opened up. It was like a tent. Mm-hmm. And then it opened up, and then you put schach on there, and you just had had a sukkah. See,
yeah, a lot of parties, and the Greenblatts lived down the street. Nathan Greenblatt.
That's right.
And Ephraim Greenblatt lived on Faxon.
That's right.
And
exactly.
The Blackmans lived down the street on Tutwiler across, and her aunt. Aunt Jenny Shipman lived on the corner
of
Tutwiler and the thing.
Yeah, and that's.
And then we had Emma Bostic come to work for us, and Earlene Mosby. Earlene started out as a babysitter for
Erling
10 years.
Perkins.
Erling Perkins. And Erling Perkins and Emma was the housekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
And they both were excellent workers.
Mm-hmm.
And Erling eventually went to work
One
for
for
you
me. That's right.
in the pawn shop, and she stayed with you 40 years, and
Uh-huh.
she's with the family since I was born. So she was with us 50 years
Right.
total.
So that's about it.
And then 68, you moved to East Yates.
Oh, that's right. And
East
then,
Yates North.
yeah, to East Yates from Tutwiler, and then
Right.
from there.
And Jeffrey was bar mitzvahed before Tutwiler, he was bar mitzvahed at the Anchi, the old Anchi.
No, the Baron Hirsch.
No, Anchi. And then you had a night party at the Baron Hirsch.
Oh, is that what that was?
And Janelle went to, the girls' school after public school, the Talmud Torah.
Uh-huh.
And she graduated with high honors.
Uh-huh.
And then when we moved to East Yates, I was bar mitzvahed at the Anchi.
Right.
1971.
Uh-huh.
And Ellen and Jerry were married in Birmingham a month before, or 2 months before, somewhere in there.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
So that's where we are now.
And then 72 was a hard year. Uncle Alvin passed away, and following Uncle Mike. Uncle Mike was on kidney machine.
Uh-huh.
And used
That's
to
Mike
go back.
Solomon.
Mike Solomon used to go back and forth.
He
The
had a
dialysis
business on
machine.
Main Street.
Furniture business.
Yeah,
Him and Uncle Alvin.
called the House of Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
So that was that,
and Jeffrey went to yeshiva in Baltimore first.
That's right.
And then to where he is now.
In Far Rockaway, at
Shor
Yashav.
Yashav.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
Janelle went to the University of Miami.
Yeah, and Jeffrey became a rabbi.
A rabbi, and he got his smicha from the
Rabbi
Moshe
Moshe Feinstein.
Feinstein, the chief rabbi of the United States.
Right.
And then I graduated high school and went to work for you. And then I eventually moved to Florida because I used to visit Janelle.
Uh-huh.
And then you moved from East Yates to Shady Grove, and that was 1988.
Where we are now.
Where you are now.
And Joni and worked on his house and fixed it up, did a lot of work. She and Dorothy Katz.
Right. And it shows the improvements and stuff. And then 1984, Jeffrey and Janelle got married 6 weeks apart from each other.
Uh-huh. That's right.
Jeffrey September,
Uh-huh.
and Janelle in November.
November, yeah.
And Jeffrey has 9 children.
Jeffrey got married in New York.
New York at Leonard's.
Uh-huh. And Janelle got married here in Memphis
at the old Baron Hirsch.
Baron Hirsch downstairs.
Yeah. And then you had a reception upstairs.
That's right.
And you have 9 grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say all the names of the grandchildren?
No, I don't need to say the name. Yeah.
You can do it if you remembered all these other ones.
I know them. Aaron, Yisro Meir, Avram Yaakov, Shemonate, Simcha.
Simcha Benjamin.
Simcha Benjamin.
Uh-huh.
And Shlomo. Gittel and Esther and Shlomo and Ephraim Dov.
And
That's
now you got a granddaughter, Chani.
Chani, that's right.
And Aaron is married to Brachi.
That's right.
Yisro Meir is
married to Chevy.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's the way it is. That's up to date, isn't it?
Yeah, and you want to talk a little bit about Mom? We got 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
About Mom?
Uh,
Anything you want to say more about Mom?
she got sick toward the end, and so she didn't suffer long or too much, and she went to, we would go to the doctor and see her, but there was no chance, right?
Right.
You want to add anything to that?
No, she was a very unique woman, I thought, and
That's right.
I thought she was smart. She
Yeah.
had a lot of levels of
Yeah.
smartness to her.
If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I was today or where I am today.
Yes, she pushed
She
you
helped
a
me a
lot.
lot. She helped me a lot, and she just was a smart lady and a smart dressing lady. And she went to shul every Shabbos, and she wore a hat, different hat every week, and
she
everybody.
also raised money for hospitals in Israel. And
That's right,
she did a lot
exactly.
of charity
That's right, exactly.
and worked for you in the store. She just wasn't this high fashion woman. She had more to her than just dressing.
Yeah, that's right. So
I'm proud to have you and her as my parents, call them my parents, and I'm glad that you finally accepted to do this interview.
All right.
And I hope, Dad, you're with us a long time, and maybe we'll...
Till 120, huh?
Yes, I hope so.
Okay. All right.
You stay healthy
Is that it?
and happiness.
Okay.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Dad.